welcome to our show, Know Your Facts, right? Today we have here Jules Strater, who knows a lot about musicals. Hello.
Hello.
So can you tell us about musical and where did it come from and when did it come from?
Well, the first stage, when it was first built, was in the 19th century, to be more specifically the 1850s, and it was in Victorian England.
Oh, okay. What was the purpose of it?
Well, the purpose of it really was just to entertain, the crowds, the audience. As you can see here, the acts would go in here, and they would usually have tables where they could drink and eat from, whilst they listened to the performances.
Oh, okay. And what kind of forms would you, what kind of form of entertainment would you find?
Well, there was all sorts of entertainments. There's some, pictures here. They would have had aerial acts that were very popular in the musicals that would take place above the stalls. Where they would walk along these ropes, above the audience. There was also these Adigo acts that were a sort of cross between dancing and acrobatics, where the women were sort of thrown and spun around the men. And there were also acts like magic acts and cyclists, especially acts, where it was just a great range of things.
Can you name any most famous musicals at that time?
Well, there was a very famous musical that is still here today, which is the Royal Albert Hall.
In London.
Yes, that was done by Queen Victoria. She didn't build it, obviously, but she did it in memory of her husband Albert, who died, and she built it. And there's actually a golden statue outside of Prince Albert.
Right. Sadly, there was a decline in musical, and what caused that?
Well. Where it first started went down was 1914 when the First World War started. So all the men, would go off to fight in the trenches, which brought it down, and the ladies would usually stay at home. Also, there were other things that happened. There was more, the wireless and things, and people stopped going out to these things. Yeah. Also, the being able to drink and eat in there was banned. So the idea of being able to go in, have a meal, and listen to this music was gone. You had to sit there and watch this performance, which, in my opinion, really killed it. It just became a theatre.
Right. Can you tell us differences between Greek theatre and a ballet opera?
Well, yes, there's. As you can see from it, the Greek theatres were usually outside, and they would have performances which were very that were mainly to do with the gods and love. And there were many passionate plays about it. Whereas the ballet opera was all inside with all this beautiful architecture and these grand theatres. And there was, and there was one particular story with this that they would carry on throughout it. Whereas this one was usually bits of songs and things that were stuck into one play.
What about the audience who went there to watch? I heard only women were allowed, men were allowed to take part in the plays.
Yes, in Greek theatre, if there was any woman parts, it would be played by a man because it was seen unseemly to have a woman acting on stage.
Whereas ballet opera had both genders.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Watch our next show to know more about music.